Hey guys, happy Monday. Hey Jessie, welcome back, boo. Welcome back to another episode of Sip with Joy. It's so good to see you guys here again. This is a show about a girl, her wine, and her feelings. If this is your first time joining, and I am that girl, I am Joy M. Hutton, your host, lover of food, of wine, a serial entrepreneur. Your girl be out here grinding, and I'm so glad to be back with you guys today. Hey Tiffany, sending you a big, big hug. Missed you guys. It feels like last week was the longest week ever. I don't know why, but it just seemed extremely long. I don't know about anybody else. Hey, Elsie. I don't know about anybody else, but last week seemed very long for me. And these weeks are just going by, I don't know, it's like fast and slow at the same time, if that makes sense. So today I am drinking a rosé. This is actually from a wine, black owned wine brand called Michael Lavelle. And if you guys remember, I had introduced you guys to a Zinfandel from them, but this is a rosé, so I'm gonna take my little sip. But yeah, can't wait to tell you guys about this one because it's really good. Normally, I would drink a rosé in the summertime, but I mean, rosés can be had all year long. There are no rules to this. So I am drinking that rosé from Michael Lavelle. Definitely look them up. Hey, Robin. Hey, Max. It has been a day, Max. I appreciate that. But it has been, I was just saying earlier, last week was just so long for me. So, January was just a long month in general. And yeah, I don't know what the retrogrades. I hope they're all over because sis needs a break. Okay, and today, honestly, I was pushing myself through today because although it was a good day in terms of work and what have you, I don't know, I was just a little off emotionally, and so I just but I'm here. Sip with Joy makes me happy, and it's always good to be here with you guys. So today's topic is, I ain't saying she's a gold digger, okay? Women out here have a bad rep in these streets, y'all. What is going on? Men say we dog them, but man. So we're going to get into it today, okay? We're going to talk about this because I just feel like, and men, I want you to chime in. So Max, I know you out there, and some other men that's probably watching, chime in on this topic today because I really want to talk about this. So this is supposed to be the month of love, y'all. It's February. So why can't we just love on one another? I have had a few conversations with men over like the course, especially like the past few years. And it seems like there's just this disdain for women right now. You go on social media and it's like, yeah, women this, women that. And usually men are saying men, we are the ones bashing men, but it's like it's just so much negativity, and we're being criticized from everything to wanting to win in our careers, to who we date, to how we dress. And it's like, man, what is going on? Can we just love one another? So I want to talk about, hey, mommy, I want to talk about some of the terms out here, okay? Y'all know I like a good list and all that stuff, but I really want to talk about these things because it's how we communicate with one another and how a lot of these words are perceived and how we hear them versus when people are saying them to us. So a lot of times, people may call women feisty, sassy, bossy, aggressive, and I've had men say to me, I like a feisty woman. And I'm like, yeah, you like it until you don't. Like, it starts off cute, it starts off as something you think you may want, but do you really like a feisty woman? Do you really like a sassy woman? And it's like, we don't call men feisty, we don't call men sassy. And so these terms are used against women who have ideas and opinions and have no problem expressing them. When women are overly confident or we buck back at something that's being said, now all of a sudden we feisty, we sassy. And I've even been called aggressive in the workplace, and it's like, no, I just have a non-tolerant personality. Like I'm not taking any mess off of you. So it's just interesting how double standards come into play. And I've been called that by women before, like aggressive, and it's non-black women. I hate to say it, but that has happened to me in the workplace, and I'm just like, because I'm a no nonsense person, I'm aggressive. But if a man was the same way, then he's powerful, he's confident, he's about his business, and I just don't think that's fair. So then you have, gossipy and catty and nagging. Oh, men love to say we nag, don't they? And feel free to drop some terms in the chat that you feel are definitely for women, like people men use for women, or even women saying to women, like things that are perceived negatively, and where we need to kind of break the cycle of some of these terms. But yeah, so gossipy, catty, nagging. Again, we don't really use those terms for men, even though they be sitting in the barber shop gossiping just like women do. But why is it women we get this? Again, love on us, okay? And then you have us being called divas and prima donnas and drama queens. Again, men can be drama queens too, okay? And it's like these are terms that are definitely not seen in a positive light when a man says this to us, like you're being a diva, you're being a prima donna. And but yeah, when we call a man that, then now we're insulting them, we're emasculating them. So again, we got to think about what we're saying to people. My mom said, when you speak your truth, you're feisty. That's from the fake folks. Then you have career woman, boss lady, but you don't really say boss or boss girl boss. We don't really say boy boss. And granted, I've used the term boss lady for myself, but it depends on what context it's being used. But again, it's sometimes these terms can be patronizing when you say working mom, but people don't really say working dads. Now, the culture is shifting in terms of dads embracing themselves as stay-at-home dads and working dads and what have you, but you don't really hear men call themselves that. So yeah, double standards. Robin said jealousy among women instead of uplifting and celebrating each other. Yes, Robin, absolutely. And we don't need it from both ends. We don't need it from men and women. We absolutely need to celebrate one another. And I was telling, I had this conversation with a lot of my friends, the very women who are in positions to empower and say they're empowering, and we're supporting women in business, we're supporting these people. Those be the main mean girls. And I'm like, really? Y'all not supporting women out here. I've seen you in real life. And people just don't live up to what they say they're doing. Tiffany said, I have said in the past, that sounds like a you problem. Right, exactly. And then we have terms like loose, easy, man eater, cougar, slutty. The slutty is the one that really gets me here, and loose, because what happens is women are called loose if they're sexually fluid, they live in their best life. But when men are out there doing their thing, they're not considered loose. Ain't nobody call them loosey gooseys, but that's what women are. And it's like, that's interesting. And I've had conversations with men. Yeah, I don't want my woman to have been run through by all these people. Why does it have to be run through? You've been run through. So how do we shift that narrative? And so it's crazy. And easy, what does easy mean? If I want sex on the first night, does that make me easy, or is it because I just want sex on first night? It's just double standards here. And it's like, how are you describing these things about a woman, but then when the tables are turned on men, oh, he's just being a man. That's not okay. That's not okay. And then cougar, like, why do you have to be a cougar if you like younger men? But if a man likes to date younger women, again, oh, that's just men. Men can get away with that. Why? Why can't women get away with it? And now you're seeing more women date younger men. Listen, I'm open to younger men at this point because hey, why not? If that is who I if that is who I align with, that's who I align with. Age ain't nothing but a number. If he's mature and he got all the right things going for him, then why not? Listen, Cher got her somebody 4 decades younger than her, so I'm not mad about it. Why should they be mad? Okay, and then let's see, emotional, hormonal, moody, overly sensitive. Now these really get me upset because women, I know all of us in the chat, we've heard this before, and especially when a man says, oh, you must be on your period because you real moody. You know what? Actually, I'm not. You're just getting on my nerves. But then when we turn the tables on a man and call them overly sensitive or moody or you're being emotional, then it's looked down upon, and they don't like it. Call a man overly sensitive and see what he does. Tell me what he does. Tell me what he does in the chat. My mom said, these old men been doing that forever. Right. And why can't we? Why can't we? So outside of these terms, you also have gender roles that are stereotypical for women, like all women should have children, and it's like you're being crucified if you don't want children or if you don't have children. And I get that all the time. Like, men are like, so you don't want kids? Why are you assuming I don't want kids? Because I'm 41 and I don't have kids? Like, that doesn't mean I don't want them. And even if I didn't want them, that's okay too. But there are just all these stereotypes. And then if you do have kids, well, women are supposed to take care of the kids, But those gender roles, like getting into all that, that's for another show. So, yeah, there are double standards. Exactly. Thank you, Max. And that's coming from a man. Exactly. That is a double standard. So speaking of double standards, Lori Harvey, she's my What the Sip today. And I've mentioned her in other scenarios in terms of, being younger and dating Michael B. Jordan. But one of the reasons I want to mention her is because she gets dragged because of all the men that she's dated. And it really, in retrospect, is probably not that many compared to the average person. But because she's living her life out in public, well, people are counting, And it's like, why she's been labeled loose and run through and all these things. I'm like, that is so unfair. She's dating like any young woman out here, any young man, and it's unfortunate that she gets these labels. And I love that she is being unapologetically herself and living in her truth and minding her own business. She's like, you know what? I'm not here for y'all. I'm living my life right here. Thanks, Lori Harvey. That's me. And I'm gonna go about my business, okay? And that's how I feel like who is counting? Look at your own body count while you counting hers. So it's just these double standards. So Max said, are certain gender roles considered stereotypes? Absolutely. Like, sometimes men are assumed to be aggressive. Women are assumed to be emotional, sensitive. There are some women who just are not emotional at all. So there are a lot of stereotypes out there. Absolutely. My mom said my dad gets moody. Now, why you put my daddy out there, mommy? So yeah, it's a lot of things to consider there and how we process things, and just even where stereotypes come from in the first place, like where gender roles. I was having a conversation with someone before about gender roles and why do we, assume a man should take out the trash or fix the car or be handy or whatever. Like, why can't a woman do it? Like, why do we fall into these roles and expect certain things of one another? How do you make things more fair? Is it possible? I mean, I think there's some fairness that can be had. I mean, do you share responsibilities in the home? Are you talking about, is there a safe space for emotions, for example? Because I don't automatically assume that a man is overly emotional if he's sharing his feelings with me, or overly sensitive. I think that's unfair, because men have emotions too, and they should be able to express them. But I feel like women are put into a lot more boxes than men, and it's unfair. It's unfair. And so I think that we have to be conscious of the words that we're using when we're describing people. Even when people use terms like narcissism, I think it's an overused term. There are definitely a lot of narcissists out there, but it's also an overused term. People are not using it in the right context. Somebody could just be arrogant, they could just be rude, they could just be a self-centered person, not necessarily a narcissist, because a narcissist is very extreme when you call somebody that. But that's a whole other show. All right. So, if anybody has any thoughts on this, you can call in at 713-396-0277. And if not, I'm going to get into some of these questions. I know I'm going fast today, y'all, but I don't know. It's just a weird day. I'm like, is it a full moon, half moon? I don't know. Like, I'm just kind of getting through this day. Okay. And then it's also just processing when I'm thinking about what some of these things are that women go through, even just from men saying these things about us. It's processing these things from other women. Other women, I was talking to a friend earlier today, and we were just talking about how we just get it from all sides. And when you break it down into different layers as a black woman, then you break it down to another layer as a single woman, and you break it down to another layer. You're an entrepreneur. You're going through a lot of different things, and then you break it down to even further layers as far as how exposed you are to people, how visible you are to people. And it's just a lot of things that you have to do. And it can be a very, very isolating journey. Whew. And I'm trying not to get emotional because, the devil is busy, y'all. The devil is busy. Okay, so if no one has any calls, I'm going to take that number down, and then I am going to get into these questions. So the first question, do you want kids? I do. I still want children. I want 2 little babies, 2 little joys. Well, I want a boy and a girl. Junior Joy and then a little boy. And then the next question is, how much older would you date? That's tricky because, I said I was open to dating older men, like even mid-50s. But the thing is, because I want children now, older, 50-something-year-old can get it. He can have kids too. But I just want to make sure we can both raise these kids together. And, it's some energetic mid-50-year-olds out there. But I prefer someone that's closer to my age or younger. So the oldest, yeah, it depends. It depends on how energetic somebody is. Do you have good stamina, good energy about you? Can you move around? You have bad knees? I need to know. All right. Robin said women are more vocal and independent these days and making their own money, and that's uncomfortable for a lot of people. So sometimes people tear down others to try to regain control. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's becoming very competitive between men and women because women have access to more opportunities now. And I've had that happen so many times when I date people, and then it starts to become one thing where you admire me as an entrepreneur, but then it becomes, the higher I elevate, then it becomes very resentful. Then it starts to become very competitive, and then guys are like, yeah, well, I did this, I did that. Okay, we can celebrate each other without being competitive. This is a team effort. We should be trying to build together. I don't understand that. It's like, where is this combativeness coming from? Where we're not competing against each other. You want to compete with me? Be on the other side. We don't have to be together. So it's just ooh, it's just getting real ugly out there, and it's very unsettling, especially when you want someone that you are aligned with. You want someone that's going to support you, through the good and the bad. I've had some very low lows as an entrepreneur, and some people will kick you when you're down, and then you have people that will support you. I want someone that's going to support me in the highs and the lows, celebrate me, be okay with me being in the spotlight and celebrating me. Like, don't make it about you. Hey Nita. um my mom said, I'm dropping everyone who does not have my best interests. Yes, exactly. So it's about having support, and like even about all these terms that I was just reading to you all. Like, these are not words that you use to empower people, to uplift people. It's so negative. There's just so much negativity, and I'm just tired of it. I want to surround myself by positivity, and that is it. Like, if people are not bringing positivity to my life, you gotta go. Okay, y'all can tell I'm going through it today. Okay, next question is, have you ever been in love? I like to think so. I've had a few people that I would say I've been in love with before. I think loving someone and being in love is are totally different things. So in love, yes, I could probably say maybe three people. Um, all right. Next question. How tall are you? I am 5 feet too tall. Not short. I am 5 feet too tall. Cause y'all be out here playing with me. When I go out in public, people are like, "Oh my God, I thought you were taller," and I'm like, "Nope, I'm not. Sorry to disappoint." um, okay, and then the last question is, do you eat meat? Yes, I do. I am a carnivore. I have no restrictions in my diet, except I don't like onions, peppers, and I can't do raisins. And then sometimes oranges make me itch. And people are always like, raisins, but you drink wine? Yes. Now, I will say though, there are certain wines that are very high in tannins, the red wines mostly. Well, really only red wines that are high in tannins that I can't drink. Well, I wouldn't say I can't drink because I'll throw it back still, but it'll have me like with the itchy throat, and I'll pay for it later. But yeah, Tiffany, are you 5'2"? Will Dawson said 5'6" with the fro. Yes, thank you, Will. Give me my inches, okay? All right. So yeah, guys, it's a cold, cruel world out there, and I just need us to be kind to each other and think about the words that we're using instead of using any of those words that you just heard. Someone can be rude, they can be unkind, they can be selfish even, but like using some of those terms, we just have to think about how we're using those terms in different contexts. So, men and women, let's think about how we can shift the narrative about women. Because, like I said, men, y'all can drop them terms in the chat if you want to about how we dog y'all out. But I think we get dogged out way more than men. So pause if you find yourself describing a woman with any of those words today, and think about why you're using that language in the first place. And then if you hear someone else describe a woman in this way, are you going to act on it, or are you going to let her be dogged out? And then if someone describes you with those words, whether you are a man or a woman, it needs to be addressed. Like, you're not going to talk crazy to me. And yeah, don't be fooled by the 5'2", because you will get checked. You're not going to talk to me crazy. And then lastly, again, choose better words. Y'all, we gotta choose better words, because we get in our feelings and we get to talking crazy to people. I mean, I'm no saint. I get in my feelings, I be talking crazy, so I am no saint. But I'm a work in progress. The Lord is working on me. All right, so next week, guys, we're gonna have a sex therapist as a guest. So get ready, get your questions ready. Make sure when I drop that Instagram story for questions, you get your questions ready because we're going to talk about sex, baby. Yeah, I want to get into it because I think there are a lot of things that are so taboo that we don't talk about that we should be talking about because I want to know some things too. You know, I have always considered myself to be more conservative, but with the right person, I'll explore some things. You know, so I want to get into this conversation with this sex therapist. So, Daddy, if you're watching, don't watch next week, okay? Mommy, you might not want to watch this either. But my mama be on here because my mother, she don't care. But yes, we're gonna have Casey. What is Casey's last name? We'll get Casey's last name next week. Casey White, but K Spot Therapy on Instagram if you want to go ahead and get a head start on her. But we're gonna have her on next week, and it'll be just in time for Valentine's Day. So if you want to pick up some tips for Casey and get your freak on for Valentine's Day, then make sure you tune in for next week's episode. And Max said, I agree, use words that can uplift someone instead of putting people down. Yes, that's it. All right, guys. Well, this is a quick episode. I'm going to get myself together over here, collect my feelings, because you know this is a girl, Hawaiian, and her feelings, and your girl's in her feelings today. So I'm going to get myself together, and love y'all. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next week.